Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is Satisfactory Early Access Update 3. Welcome to Season 2. There's no particular reason necessarily to make a breakpoint in seasons, except that I feel like we've kind of moved on, and we're now making steel, and I feel like that's kind of a breakpoint. We're now going to start being able to make other things. But I'm back at our old base, as you can see, and I have made some changes. So one of the things that was persistently bothering me, you see we have a double sky bridge over here, was this all of these ramps, and the long ramps were making it impossible to attractively move product with conveyor belts. So as I was coming along here, I said, why did I make them this low? Really, what was the point? I mean, one of the main things was getting the truck up and down, but I don't really need to do that at this point. And so I said, why don't I just keep everything level? So there is a bit of a slope. Gotta watch out for nasties, but there's a bit of a slope up there, but it's short enough that I can do it in one belt length, and the rest of the bridge is going to be up high. So all of this down here is going to be disassembled, and I'm going to do that later. I'll do that mostly off screen because it's going to take forever. And so what I did down here was I took everything down, all of our assemblers and all that, and I created a bunch of small bridges that bring the mines of the metal, they bring their materials up. And so we have 3 normal mines right here, I think. 1, 2. So we have 2 here, we have 1 here, so that's 3 total. And then we actually have 2 more down there, but I've only got 1 going. So let me show you what I did. So I created, so starting all the way back here, this is actually near where we have our limestone, and I still haven't completed that sky bridge. But I have more materials now, and so I've been able to build to like complete them as they go. So there's another iron ore here that I have not hooked up yet because I just don't have the capacity to use it. But we will eventually hook it up. So we have this mine here, and it is sending 60 ore per minute down this bridge. And if we come over here, we don't need these power poles anymore. We don't need this platform really anymore, but you can see I've got a completed sky bridge with the supports. I actually think this looks pretty cool. I wish, a lot of lag, I wish you could color the foundations the same way you can color the walls. And guys, nobody's left a comment, so we'll start Season 2 with this request. If I don't get any comments in the next week or so, I'm going to pick the color. But what color would you like to see in our base? What color would you like the main color of the walls and stuff to be? And I'm more than willing to entertain suggestions. Anyway, we have this sky bridge that takes the 60 per minute from 1 iron ore miner, and it combines with this one. So this one pushes it in here, and then if we come out this way, we see that they merge and become 120. And then these guys merge out here, right over there, just past the this thing, and they come in at 120 up here. And then I run them along these 2 walls, and I bring them in here, and I fire them up to there, right? And you can see they're going in at 2 different levels, so I'll show you why that is. I got sort of boxed in a couple of places and trying to get things from one side to the other, trying to keep everything up above. But you can see, I think this looks pretty nice with the large panes of glass on the bottom and what I call the subway on the top. I think it actually looks pretty nice. I feel like there's no reason to have big windows at the top since nobody's going to be looking out there, but I do want to be able to see the conveyor stuff going through from the window. So we come up to there. So now one of the things I still have to work on is how to get up and down to this main sky bridge. I'm not thrilled with this switchback ramp. I just built it quickly to get down. And obviously we're going to have to build supports all along here and everything. That's all got to be done, and I've got to take down the old stuff. You know, this can all be deleted. Alright. But it's going to take a long time to get rid of all that. So I'm not going to do that in this episode. I just want to show you guys where we are. and we'll connect up the steel production to make the steel beams and the steel pipes that we're going to need to make our versatile frames, or whatever they are, for the next thing for the space elevator. So we have our iron coming in, one at a lower level, one at a higher level, and you can see one of the things I've done is tried to use whatchamacallit, the 2 and the 3 hole connectors. This just helps space things out, because for example this 3rd hole is exactly even with the wall mounts. And so here's our truck. I'm going to turn it around. So now this is the main sky bridge, and it's all super high now. This is almost the level of our base. It's not quite. You can see I haven't put the roof on, but I've done a lot to complete this. It's not fully done. There are going to be some gaps along the route, but I've completed probably 3/4 of the walls, and all I got to do is the ceilings, and this bridge will be complete. I'm toying with putting the clear ceilings on the top, but the only thing is I'm also thinking of maybe someday running a train along the top of this. So if I do that, then I don't want to have the clear ceilings, because it wouldn't look right to have a train running across glass. So we come up here. This is the only slope, and as you can see, it looks fine. Back up, back up, back up. It looks fine coming up here. It doesn't look awkward at all, so I left that. And now we're just going to stay at this height for the entire rest of the time. And I think once we get to the point where there are 6 belts, 3 on each side, running along the top, I think it looks really cool. So this is the limestone coming in on the right at 120 from 2 mines. We have the iron ore coming in on the left at 120 from 4 mines that are those are all normal mines, no pure. And now we get to the 3 on one side, 2 on the other, and this is, I was just sort of building as I went. I kind of ran out of the reinforced, and I didn't want to have to run back to the base. It's actually easier to build top down, just because once you have the lower belt in place, it's hard to get it to click to connect onto the higher one. So I might have to disassemble the lower one when I'm reinstalling more stuff at the top. But for now, I think it's starting to look really cool. Look at this. 3 on the left, 1 on the right. And so now the Caterium joins us on the bottom of the left side. And we come along through here. And the iron ore is the top 2. The Caterium is the bottom on the left. And then the limestone is on the right-hand side. And now we're coming back to the base. And you can see that it's, there's a lot more to the base now. It's certainly not anywhere near finished, but it'll never be really finished, right? Because we're always going to be building more. So you can see I ran out of material again here, and I didn't want to run all the way back to the base, because what I was trying to do is get the limestone up again so we could make more concrete. And this is where the second limestone channel joins. So now we have 120 and a 60 coming in. And we're almost back home. There's one of our sky bridges in the distance, and now we're back at the base. Right? So we are back. So let me show you. We need both metal and coal to produce steel. So I showed last time that I had created another sky bridge down there, and that is bringing the coal over, and it's nearly complete except for this little section, and I've got to fix all of that. You can see the coal is moving along. So there's 3 sets of storage containers. The 2 on the left are the ones that are feeding the coal to make steel. The one on the right is feeding the power plant. There was a whole bunch of coal left, and I figured I may as well let it run. I mean, it's not doing me any good sitting there. But I needed to get the metal from here, the iron, all the way to that side of the base where the iron ore is stored. And I thought, first I was going to bring it along the inside. And it just got really messy. I tried that. So I said, well, let's make like a little crawl space, a little basement. So I come down here, and the 2 iron are being piped. This one's a little awkward. There's really nothing else I could do with that. I guess I could bring it down to this. It might look a little better. But anyway, it's being piped in here. It's coming down into this, basically this crawl space here, right? You can see, and I always try to leave myself a little access for maintenance if I want to change the build or something. It's coming along this way, and then the iron ore is getting piped along. Oh, and by the way, I now have blade runners, so I can jump a lot higher and a lot farther. So we come along this crawl space, and it's basically just like 2 tiles high. And I made little windows along the way so we could look out. But we're basically kind of in the basement now, right? And so this part's going to be kind of messy because people aren't going to generally be coming... I'm not going to generally be coming down here, right? And it will be kind of cramped and, you know, kind of crowded looking and dark because it's a basement. But this brings the iron ore all the way over to the other side of the base where I have the iron ore and the smelters and everything. So the advantage of this is if I decide I don't need steel but I need a lot more iron, I can add smelters and I can switch the storage containers that are holding the iron here. I can switch them over to feed something else. So we come out this access way and we head up and into the base, and we now have 6 lines of iron, right? And if we look here, come here. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble getting up on these things. These 4 lines are still feeding the smelters to make iron ingots, but these 2 lines are now coming over that way. And if we follow them, and we can ride along, they bring the iron along this wall and along this way because they're now going to be feeding the steel. And you can see I've completed some of the walls but not all of them, so they bring it along this way and along this way, and this is where the coal comes in, right? And everything then gets shot upstairs to the foundries. Now this part's temporary, of course. This is just, I was just using this to build, right, to give myself a room to build. And then this also allowed me to walk over to here if I want. I haven't done any exploring in I don't know how long because I've been trying to get the steel production going on this base. So now we have our foundries. And if we take a look, I'm trying to remember where you climb up on these things. I think I can just jump up on it. Yeah. Not so great. Let me just build a little ladder, and then we can go up high and take a look. So the coal and the iron are coming in. They're feeding these 6 foundries. The foundries are making steel ingots right there. We've got steel ingots coming out, and then they are heading that way. Now they're not operating at full strength, at full speed, because they take 45 iron a minute and they're only getting like 35 or something. They're only getting 30, but I think it's working pretty well. And these iron ingots end up in 2 lines and feed these storage containers, and I have another set of storage containers that could potentially, I could build 3 more foundries here. It'd be a little cramped, but we could feed them if we wanted to. So these guys are then being brought up, going to be brought upstairs. And what I have to do upstairs is hook up the steel so that we can, the ingots, so that we can make steel beams and steel pipes. And once we do that, we will be ready to start our next milestone. So you can see these guys are ready to go. So let me show you how I have this worked out, and I will hook up our steel. So these 2 on the ends are the ones that are ready to go. So we're just going to hook this up, and it should start immediately. And there they go. Right, so they come out here, and they're coming out at 120 each. So what I had to do here is each of the so these guys are going to make the steel beams, and only half of them are operating. 6 are going to be making steel beams, 4 are going to be making pipes. Right now, 3 and 2 are active. And I didn't even put belts to the others because I can't feed them all. So this is going to come in at 120 and split out to 60 and 60. Each of these takes 60. This one comes in at 120, splits out to 60 and 60. This one takes 60, and each of those two takes 30. So it's going to come down at a rate of 60, and then it's going to split to 30 and 30. And so then they're going to make the steel products. And then the steel products come out. The steel beams come out here, and they're going to merge up. They go into this array of of storage containers, and then these guys come out here, and they're going to cut across and go to this array. Now, what I'm going to do eventually, and I had worked this out, and I wasn't watching what it was doing. It came too far back. But what I'm going to do is eventually, so you can see this thing is like hanging in the air. What I want to do eventually is put, not down here, but up there, put these guys, right? And then they're going to connect to here. And then this line is going to just come along. It's going to go through one of these, and then it's going to curve this way and come back around. And I had it all worked out perfectly, right? And then I was all the way back here, and I realized I wasn't going to have room for this merger, so I had to take it all down. So we'll, fix that as we go. But I think it's looking pretty good. And so we should be having, we got the steel pipes coming along and the steel beams and all that. So then, what do we need them for? Well, we need it for the versatile frame, among other things. So I built another ramp here, and guys, I decided I'm going to change, and I got to go back and fix all of them, but I'm going to the highest incline ramp. One of the reasons I was using the 2 meter instead of the 4 was because I wanted to drive the truck up and down the ramps. But once you're inside this enclosed area, the truck sucks to drive in there because you can't see what you're doing. It just shows you the wall, so you can't steer. So there's no point to bringing the truck up here. That makes the footprint of the stairway or the rampway much smaller. So these guys are going to come over here, and then what I have to do is hook up conveyor belts to this, because we got to bring steel beams over and make the versatile frames. So they come over this way, and I've already got the modular frames splitting off from the storage container where they're held. And so the modular frames are going to be over here, and you can see they're ready to go. And these two things are going to make versatile frames, and then they're going to merge them and put them in here. Meanwhile, the smart parts were full. This thing is stopped. Well, I guess it's still making them because it's not filled up yet, but it's about to be. It's just completely full. So once we have these versatile frames, we're going to be able to to feed both of those into the space elevator. We may as well let it keep making. We have plenty of power, so we may as well let it keep making smart parts. So the modular frames are coming in this way. They're splitting off into these assemblers, and the versatile frames, we need 30 steel beams a minute. We're producing way more than that. We're producing 60, so we're going to be able to feed both of these. But before we do that, I want to let the steel beams build up a little bit so that we can actually do our Logistics Mark III. In fact, we might almost be ready to do that right now. So guys, I think I'm actually pretty happy with the way this is working. I'm pretty pleased. By the way, with our blade runners, our floors are small enough that I can just jump down, which is pretty nice. So let's take a look at our beams and pipes. They should be out here. Yep. So we're getting there. We don't quite have as many as we need to set up our tech yet, but we're getting pretty close, and it's moving along. I'm pretty happy with it. As you can see, I've filled in more of the floor. The disadvantage of this is it makes everything underneath much darker. And I think, you know, when they put out update 4, let's say, or when this, you know, when we get as far as we can here and it's time to stop and maybe make a new factory at some point, I think I'm going to build something high like this and just flat and just put it all over the whole planet and not have different levels, not have roofs, just have sections, because as nice as it is to go vertical, it's too dark at night inside the factory. Now, it may be when they finish doing updates and stuff, it may possibly be the case that they will have internal lighting in the base. I know they were saying that that's very difficult to do, but I think part of the reason it's difficult is because they're thinking about doing individual lights, like say putting a light on each one of these conveyor poles or each of these power poles, and having that light shine around and make it light. But I would think you should be able to do something to hook up, say, lighting for the entire floor, and you just turn it on and you get daylight inside the building, right? And it's still night outside, but daylight inside. And I think that might be preferable to them trying to have individual lights that actually illuminate an area. It might just be less of a performance hit. One of the things we're going to eventually need, and I'm glad we're making the steel beams right over here, is we're going to eventually need to combine the concrete from over here with the steel beams to make encased steel beams, and those will be useful for building certain things. But we're not going to do any of that right now because what we're trying to do is get to Logistics Mark III. So we now have enough pipes, which is great. We almost have enough steel beams. We're very close, guys. Oh, we only need like 10. Two. We're done. Let's head upstairs and go to our hub, and finally, for the first time in I can't tell you how many episodes, was it been like 7 episodes or something, we're actually going to advance our tech. And one of the things I do, guys, and this is how we've started closing in these floors, is I just build my way over. If you do that, oops, I ran out. If you do that enough times, you can start getting a lot of the floor and the walls and stuff built. We're almost ready to, by the way, hook up our limestone right there. I just got to figure out how to get it over to the limestone section down there, and that'll allow me to turn on more concrete constructors. So here we go, guys. Logistics Mark III. And now we have the ability to make Mark III conveyor belts and Mark III lifts. Anything else? Nope. So now, what are our options? Oops, that is the wrong thing. Our options for milestones. Advanced steel protection, which will allow me to make Mark II miners and encased industrial beams, motors, we're going to need those, stators, heavy modular frames, and automated wiring. And I think automated wiring is one of the things we need for the space elevator. But guys, I think I want to get hypertubes. Because, and we can get that actually fairly quickly, because then what I'm going to do is probably take down some of these stairways and make like hypertubes to go through the base. But I think things are moving along. I've been pretty happy with everything, given that I didn't necessarily plan things out to the nth degree as I was starting to build. I think we've actually come along pretty well. And I've been pretty happy with this. So when we create hypertubes, when we finish the research for hypertubes, I think. Oh, you know what? I screwed that up, right? Because we don't have the tech to make. We don't have the tech to make the encased beams, but we might have enough because I've found them a couple of times in wrecked pods. So where is our... We go downstairs. To our research, our MAM, which needs to be moved upstairs. I just haven't had a chance to do it. Oh, we only have 42 encased beams, so we're going to have to change our milestone and get the advanced steel working first. But I'll do that later, guys. I think this is enough. I've been really happy with the way this base is coming out. I'm pretty pleased. And I've got some coupons. I don't really have much to use them on, I think. So we have 13 coupons. We get a health pack. I mean, that's worth it. Eventually we could get statues. I guess we could get that little vehicle. I mean, I already have the truck, so I'm not sure what the point is, but why not? Let's grab it and buy them. So now we can make a factory cart, right? Where the heck would that be? It's non-transportation? Is it in the workshop, maybe? Ah. Okay, well, let's go ahead and craft one. That's cool that you can have several. Okay, so let's craft a couple. So one of the ideas I have, we'll see how this works. But one of the ideas I sort of had was to put a cart on each sky bridge, right? So you can like drive it across. I still got 2 factory coupons. I don't want to keep those. But let's actually put one of the carts out. Okay, that is awesome. And it doesn't seem to need fuel. Well, that's pretty cool. And it drives really fast. I like it. Oh my god, this thing is hilarious. Alright, so let's put the coupons back. And I could probably put the medicinal inhaler away right now too, because I don't really need that. By the way, we can make those now. I think I can make them at the workshop. Yeah. So you just need organs and mycelia and you can make them. But we bought a few, so that's fine. God, this thing looks like so much smaller than I am. You gotta wonder how the heck you fit into it. It's really cool. I like this. So let's do a test. Let's see what happens if I try to go up into a try to go up into the ramp with this thing. Wow, I am bad at steering it. Okay, well this is actually, if I could steer it right, this is actually not bad. I can actually use this because it's smaller to zoom around the base. But my idea is to just leave one at each sky bridge, right? So that if you want to zoom back and forth, you can with no problem. Right? And then, so it's like little transport across the bridges. So I kind of like that idea. I don't know, let me know what you guys think. What do you think of the idea of using sky bridges to, or factory carts to drive around the sky bridges? These things are cool, I like them. Minimally, I could see having one on each level, just to zoom around the levels as well. Alright guys, I think we're going to stop there. I hope you've enjoyed. Until next time, I am Scarpalock, and this has been Satisfactory Early Access.